Okay. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So we started Surah Al-Fil last week. I remember that we talked quite a bit about it, but I was not sure if we completed it. I was asking Dua, and she said that we talked about the first verse, but not about the rest. So let's see how much we went, how much we can go further. And if we conclude with this, I will start with the next surah, inshallah. So let's read it all together. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. Did he not bring their treacherous plan to naught? وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ. And send against them swarms of birds. تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِّيلٍ. Striking them with stones of baked clay. فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ. And made them like straws eaten up by cattle. So last week we mainly studied the first verse, but we talked more than that. We talked about the backstory initially. It was at the year that the Prophet was born. So the armies of Abraha attacked Mecca, and Prophet's grandfather, who was the chief of Mecca, went there to take his own camels. So we talked about that story as well. Whenever I said, are you not going to protect Kaaba? He says, well, the Lord of the Kaaba is going to protect Kaaba. I'm just responsible for protecting my own camels. And Abraha was attacking Mecca to destroy Kaaba because he had built a church and he wants people's attention to focus on this church rather than this Kaaba. But then they come with elephants, large war elephants. And as they come near Kaaba, the big elephant that they bring stopped walking. When they turn him any other way, he keeps running, but when they turn him towards Kaaba, he doesn't walk. And then swarms of birds came and throw stones to them and destroyed them. This was the backstory that this surah is referring to. But when we started with Alam Tara, have you seen or have you not seen? We said that even the Prophet have not seen this with his eyes. So this have you not seen does not necessarily mean you've seen with eyes, because even the first addressee, the messenger, has not seen that event himself. So that's why this is considered the Alam Tara, which appears elsewhere in Quran as well. Have you considered? Sometimes this is how it is mentioned. Such a thing happened. Have you considered that? And then we talked about Kayfa Fa'ala. So how he did, but not what he did. There was an emphasis about how he did something, the creator, how he did that thing, rather than like the process of how it was done is being mentioned in here, rather than what he did, what the outcomes were. For instance, the process was being mentioned. Rabbuka was emphasized in here. So my Lord has done something. It's not what Rabbul Alameen did or what Rabb of Kaaba did. It's not like that, but what your Lord did was another emphasis. And also Rabbuka, but Rabb in here, not Qahar, Jabbar, Muntaqim, but it was Rabb, which is carrying a connotation of mercy, a merciful caretaker, a merciful teacher, is the connotation, or merciful sustainer, maintainer is the connotation of Rabb. So as we were discussing this, we said that it's attracting my attention to my Lord. So the message must be personal here. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka. Your Lord has done something, and there's a message for you in here. That's why there's this emphasis of ka to you, and also rabbuka, your Lord did something. And in general, as we have been discussing before, Rabb has this connotation of maintaining, teaching. So my Lord has a message for me in that event that was done for me. So that's what I'm going to look for. What is the message I'm going to take out of that for myself? And then we talked about the Al-Fil, the companions of the elephant. Why were they identified with elephant was one question. And we talked about them relying on the power or the might of their elephant was what derived them all the way to there, which then brings us to here and now. I haven't seen the elephants. I haven't seen them. I haven't how they were destroyed. What does this mean for me here and now? This was the main question. And from there on, I'm going to bring the discussion to here. We talked about some of these. Let me pose all the question in here. And then we talk about the big picture together and wrap it up, inshallah. So those people of the field, the elephants, they were relying on their power. Did we discuss these verses individually last week? Do you remember? No. No? Okay. أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. Did he not bring their treacherous plan to naught? So kaydahum, so those people of the elephant or the companions of the elephant has a plan, a treacherous plan. What is or what was their plan? Back then, what was it? Right now, what is it? And how did your Lord, my Lord, spoil their plan? Is this once upon a time extraordinary event? Or this is a habit of my Lord? What is mu'jiza? Because if we take the case historically, it's a mu'jiza, it's miracle that the army was destroyed. But is this something that happened once upon a time? Or can I testify truthfulness of this one here and now as well? Because this is a guidance of my Creator. How do I bear witness to truthfulness of that message? I have other questions there. If you have any comments about this one, we can start from there.
One thing we mentioned last week, that the plan was to destroy the symbol of Tawheed within the region and replace it with someone's own God, for their own benefit. Maybe historically is the case of like economics and tourism or some sort of a thing, but personal benefit.
Yes. So destruction of Kaaba was their plan. So is anybody trying to destroy Kaaba today? We talked about it a little bit last week.
Maybe they're trying to not destroy it, but create their own.
If there are some tunnels underneath.
Tunnels underneath Kaaba.
For other purposes.
Tunnels? There's a Mukab, which is like a bigger Kaaba.
Oh yeah. They are building it in where? Riyadh?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So they come with a plan to divert people's attention from Kaaba. Let's destroy it so that we have an alternative somewhere. So people will go from there to here for whatever reason.
maybe a football stadium,
A football stadium.
World Cup,
Okay.
bringing a lot of people.
Yeah, as long as Kaaba is there, it looks like the idea, at least if we go with the historical events, the guy thinks that as long as it stays there, no matter how shiny I make that church, people will not come here. So let's destroy it so that no matter what now, they have to come here.
Isn't there a story of that he built his one and then some Arabs desecrated it?
Yeah, there was also something like that.
So, a football stadium, for instance, or let's say an entertainment arena, cannot replace Ghana, right? It would address some other need. Like even if you try to treat people saying that, oh, forget about it, let's just watch soccer. They may initially, but then they say, okay, but we need these spiritual needs as well, which is what we experience, what we witness today, for instance. Like they try to tell people that we don't need such things. We already have all these material wealth, material the world which satisfies everything, right? We can even build a morality out of it and so on. But then, in a very simplified version, of course, people go crazy because they need to satisfy their spiritual needs as well. And then they say, oh, do you know what? Yeah, you don't need religion for that. We can sustain your spiritual needs. So it has to be spiritual. We can sustain your spiritual needs by giving you something else, like we will mix a little bit, the Eastern philosophy with some Western ideologies and spring a little bit Mevlana, and then, you will have your new age spiritual awakening. So, and in the historical story as well, it is not like a marketplace that the guy is trying to promote. It's a church. Or another place that what is it called? Pilgrimage. Or the people? Pilgrims can visit. So it has to be an alternative to that. And today, the alternative to Kaaba, it's this naturalistic worldview plus human-made spiritual the options.
But when introducing those alternatives, why simply they don't produce an alternative, but also try to destroy the other?
Why? Like, I think it's like always, right? If you have a better car, and I'm trying to sell you a really bad one, you will say, "But I have a better one. Why should I even consider yours?"
So then, is this in and of itself indicating some sort of a value of what is being attacked? Just looking at the bare fact that owner of one is attacking the other, does this tell something about the nature of the fight? Because also yesterday, I think Birkan was mentioning it, like an atheist last week. Atheist. Why would an atheist fight against or try to convert a believer into his atheism. Like, you already don't believe in anything. So why do you try to destroy that other person's conviction? What is the point?
You want to justify his own view through numbers, you want some, reassurance.
I mean, if you have something of self-value, which is better than the other one, so just invite that person to hear, and then that person would come. What is the point of trying to destroy that conviction over there?
You're not sure about your own value. Insecurity.
Yeah. So you do see that something is valuable in there, and as long as it stays there, it's not going to be possible to take this or attract them to what I have in my hand. But this being mentioned as a treacherous plan, so I have as if like a hidden agenda somewhere. Because if I was inviting people to truth, and it is self-clear, self-evident, look, here I am, here is what I have at hand, come, nothing is a treacherous plan is, I mean, there's no hidden agenda here. It's clear, truth is here, come, truth advertises itself. I don't need to advertise truth. I don't need to make a propaganda of truth. It is right there. But if I have I must have some sort of an alter motive in here, like inviting people to my church, let's say. I mean, since in that example it was church. So do I consider it to be true, or despite knowing that it is not true, I invite people, or I mean, not knowing that it's true, meaning something like, I don't find satisfaction or happiness, tranquility in atheism, yet I would like to destroy that other thing over there to bring people here. What is my motive here? I'm not inviting them to happiness. I'm not inviting them to freedom either, because I myself am a slave of many things. As an atheist, I deny the comfort of, no, I am being maintained. I am denying that, but rather I say, no, I own myself and I have to stand strong so that I can fight against things. This is my reality. So what I'm inviting people to is not security. So what is the trickery over there? I have an alter motive. It's not for their own good either. I have some other motives, but I am hiding things. So the idea of alam tara kayfa fa'ala, so the kayfa part, how he destroyed them, is still going to come in the following verses. So it looks like my creator has destroyed their treacherous plan in a very specific way. So then let's read those verses and ask the question about, how did he really spoil their plan? How does he spoil their plan today? And how are those people of Elephant today, which we talked about last week, said that back then people were relying on the might of a elephant, which is worldly strength pretty much. Today, what is the worldly strength? It is today the, let's say, rockets, planes, which in turn is the result of worldly progress, material strength, material might. Today, people are still relying on that and on the authority of that, saying that, with all the laboratories we have here, all the research that is going on in here, your Kaaba, oneness of the creator, is wrong. And actually, all we do in here is destroying your claim of, there's no God but God. That is the attack, even that's happening today. And it's not a hidden attack either. So if you take Atik was saying that when he minored in philosophy, he started seeing this attack more clearly. But the attack was always there, even in your biology class, in your chemistry class, and whatnot. But once you step into minoring in philosophy, then they would explicitly start speaking about it. Just the language then becomes more direct. Otherwise, previously, you were still the language was there, but we were not paying attention to. As Birkan was giving the example last week about brain decided to neuron
prefers a certain
yes.
symbol.
So still, it was a language that was explicitly using, but since it's not a theological text or a philosophical text, we thought that, oh, the author in here is making some analogy and whatnot, trying to express some opinion. But in fact, what he says really boils down to what he says. It's not just a metaphorical language. So the question then becomes, how does Creator or my Lord today destroy their treacherous plan? Because if you go with the backstory, وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ, so he sent against them swords of birds. What is special about birds? And what are those birds here and now that the Creator is sending to destroy their treacherous plan? So this is about the how he destroyed. So we are now paying attention to how he destroyed. And the question is, how does he destroy today? تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِّيلٍ, striking them with stones of baked clay. So a bird carrying a small stone. This is how Creator is, my Lord is destroying an army, a strong army that relies on its might. So question here is, what's the comparison signify between birds versus elephants? Birds with small stones attacking giant elephants, or those who rely on giant elephants. What does this apparently imbalance of power signify for today as well? Yes, please go ahead.
So I'm thinking like the obvious
Just a second. There is some issue with okay, can you talk again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I think the obvious one that came to my mind last time was the strength aspect, that birds are very small compared to elephants. So it just goes to show that what you perceive as strong, it might not be strong, but also like the owner of both is Allah. So as long as he's the owner, he can make them act in a way that's unusual or that you don't expect. But also something that I'm thinking now is that like perhaps the birds also represent a sama aspect. Just how we read about how like shooting stars are there to sort of like ward off jinns wanting to ascend to the sky. So I'm wondering if like because like elephants are land based and those stones are coming from above, if that is a like symbolism that it's coming from the skies or coming from the heavens or Allah. So yeah.
That's a good point. Birds are attacking from the skies. Those people are relying on a power that is on the ground. So ground is solid, but skies are representing always coming from high. So yes, what does swarms of birds attacking from sky to the things that the attacker, the trickers, rely on earth? What is it in my world today? How does it come together?
They could be attacked from all sides, that you can't even fight back. sort of helpless. There's it just coming at you. This is sort of like the feeling of when you've taken on a burden on yourself, when you've given yourself the power over, you've relied on yourself in that situation, and you put it within your power to, give yourself some kind of success or victory. Then the world sort of collapses in on you, and you're being attacked from all sides, and it feels like you're helpless. There's no way you can even, you can't see it coming, and you also can't fight back.
And this is, in general, how things are just coming against me in this life.
Yeah, sort of generally speaking, for that person who has put this within their hands and made themselves sort of they put all the reliance on themselves, and they're saying like, I don't need to rely on anybody or anything other than what is within my hands, and I'm using my hands, and that's gonna bring me success. So yeah, so that's sort of that self-reliance in general.
So in this case, you're taking Ashab al-Fil as anybody who has self-reliance.
I have sort of, extrapolated, but they, within that self-reliance, they've also pushed away, I don't need what you're calling me to.
Mhm.
I'm against that. I don't need that. I don't believe in that. And instead I'm going to sort of put it like, I don't believe there is any other power than the power that I am bringing to the situation.
Mhm.
Like, I don't believe that anybody can conquer me, and I believe that I'm the one sort of in control of the situation.
And then swarms of birds attack that mentality, that mindset. So my creator is defeating my self-reliance with something as simple as birds. So then could this be in my personal life, let's say, if I am relying too much on myself, I am a super hardworking person, I achieve, I do, I conquer whatever I wanted, I got it when I wanted it. I put the effort, but I got it. At a time that I expected the least, something as simple as a virus comes and attacks me and knocks me off for some, let's say, 3 weeks, 1 month. I am sick. And I'm not even able to lift my hand, or I am not even able to collect my thoughts. Because it sometimes happens that you are that super hardworking, hard-thinking person, but when you're sick, you're not able to collect your thoughts. Whatever you relied on, with the minutest thing, your creator reminded you of how vulnerable you are, how not strong you are, and all your claims of strength was so flimsy, so unreal. I guess in my personal life, then, if I take it as you put on, alhamdulillah, it's good. Every disease can also be taken as such. My claims of conquering the world, or the idea that I am the one who does it, and I am attacking the world with sometimes very determined, saying that I want this job, I want this person, I want this house. Like sometimes I am so clear about it. And the more clear I am about it, at least in my case, my creator says, attempt 1, attempt 2, I always fail. This is how it has been. Like graduate school application or job applications. my thesis topic. These are the three things. There's one fourth one.
That's
Okay.
that you are unsuccessful.
Okay.
Oh,
So the more I think I know what I want, and I line up all the plans and options and say that if this happens, I will use this one. If that happens, I'm going to use this other card, play the other card and whatnot. The harder I achieve the results. And actually, I achieved the result at the moment when I gave up. So the creator was just putting so insignificant obstacles in front of me that I never considered, or saying that, oh, you thought you put all the things together and now you're coming with all your army of your CV. Let's say I have this in my CV. Like who else could really compete with that? Something very simple. I can go crazy or angry with that. How come this is happening and whatnot? But it happens. It's not given to me. But what does this tell me about my initial thought of source of strength, source of success, my elephants? The creator says, with something as fragile as birds, I'm going to defeat your armies of elephants. Because maybe I was tricking within myself that, oh, I want to get there with all these strength. But there is a trickery in there, maybe. This is what I should question for myself. If I am thinking that I will reach that goal with my strength, even if that goal seems to be, oh, I'm going to become super religious and whatever, if I am aiming to reach there with the strength, then there is something wrong, even if it is conquering the world for the sake of Islam. If I am aiming to get there with my elephants, with the strength, then there's an alter motive in there. Because even if I have elephants, I should have said that, I'm giving an extreme example, conquering the world for the sake of Islam is in the hand of the creator. It's not a matter of elephant or anything else. I just did my duty, which is a prayer. That's all I did. It's not a matter of an elephant or having an army of ants or whatever. It is the creator who is going to create the result. If I start entertaining the idea of no, but I have elephants, then that means there's an alter motive in there, which is my ego is starting to creep in. I start giving credit to myself, and my creator destroys my army to wake me up. And when he does this, he does it with things as simple as birds. There was a hand here. Sister Nuran, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I have one more meditation about birds. Like I totally agree with it being a very simple tool used by God in such an event. But the other thing is that birds are known for being, a nice creature and peaceful creatures. So, but in this situation, they turned into like an army of birds. So I believe that the soldiers of God or people who are believers should be like that in their attitude, like they are nice whenever it takes, but whenever it takes to fight, they can fight, So this is one thing, and that also they are, I mean, compared to elephants, they are much weaker, but in this situation they were in groups, so this is also might have contributed.
Yes, there's this aspect of birds attacking in large quantities, like swarms of birds. So, what's it? Ittihad. giving shoulder to shoulder,
Oh,
coming together of insignificant, what I would consider as insignificant, my creator is putting them together and saying that this insignificant that you considered to be unimportant is important. Yes, this is another important aspect. So, Jazakallah khair, Muhammad Sayal, that was a good point, because in my personal life, I do this too. I prepare my elephant and attack somewhere. And my creator is saying that whenever this happens, don't you see how I respond? And in general, we can generalize this to any disease that I go through, any failure that I go through. If I go back and check myself, because every disease is a reminder for me that I take strength, health for granted. And I started making plans on top of that. Since I am healthy for the past year, let's say, I say, oh, I should start this job, that job, do this, do that. So I'm starting to stack up plans to get stronger or richer or whatever. My creator is saying that the thing that you rely on is not yours. So you're trying to make up plans with that, relying on them. But something as simple as a microbe, a virus, or something very insignificant, which you wouldn't even consider to be an obstacle to your goal, with that, I'm going to hinder your plans so that you will realize that might of elephant is insignificant. You had a comment?
yeah, can you give some examples of, how different things that you wanted and then you weren't able to reach them? So are you suggesting that, when we face a conflict, we should just give up easily?
Yeah, I think I should check my motivations, because the problem was not with the goal. The problem was with the means. So I relied on the elephant. Because it could be that, let's say, I am trying to deliver a message of Islam to someone. And I improve my speech, I improve the language, how I deliver it, I use slides and whatnot, yet nobody is coming, or something like this, okay? So, or even I am being defeated with the most insignificant thing that I wouldn't even, let's say, in this very eloquent speech that I make, an unlearned student comes up and asks a question in front of crowds, and just all my glorious speech shatters into pieces. People realize how much of an empty person I am, let's say, okay? So what is it? Shall I say that, trying to talk about Quran is wrong? Shall I give up with that? Or shall I go ahead and check myself? What does my creator tell me about him destroying me for even this good cause, which is apparently a good cause, but me being on that good cause was having an alter motive, which is, if I'm relying on the beauty of my speech in delivering the message, then that means I totally lost the point. I am advertising myself. I'm not saying that the message is beautiful, and I don't do anything but introduce the message. I don't do anything but introduce the message. It's not my eloquence, it's not my handsomeness or anything which makes them accept. This was not my point, actually. I was trying to sell myself. I was trying to advertise myself, knowingly, unknowingly. This is why my creator destroyed me when making a presentation with a super simple question that a super unlearned person, and then showed to everybody how weak I was. So I should go back and reconsider my motivation. And what do I rely on? Do I rely on the value of the truth itself, or do I rely on my elephants? Yes.
And if you are to reconsider your motivation and change your perspective, you can look at this from the other side of when you are feeling outnumbered and weak and helpless, but your reliance is on Allah. right? He said that he's leaving the house of Allah, the thing that's most precious to all of them, in the hands of Allah. Then the help from Allah comes from seemingly nowhere.
Mhm.
And that's different perspective. That is that is basically what's gonna save you in that kind of situation that seems entirely dire.
Mhm.
It seems like nothing is going to work for you and you're completely at a loss.
Mhm. Yes. So, I mean, that's a good point to look at. If I look at from the other side, somebody is attacking with elephants to truth, which I also consider to be valuable. And I don't seem to have elephants to attack back. What is my position? So if we go with the backstory, is Abdul Muttalib's status in there, where he said, I only take my elephants. This is my my camels. This is my responsibility to protect. Protecting truth. Al-Haq will protect the truth. The creator, the owner of Kaaba will protect Kaaba. So does somebody is attacking Quran, somebody is attacking Tawheed. So what is my status towards that? If now we take it to that case, we talked about in my personal world, but now let's say Kaaba, Tawheed is under attack. And it looks like Tawheed is under attack with a very concerted effort. Is this the right word?
What if
concerted, like
a lot of people gathered
and it's a
concert.
it's a planned, well-planned effort at a global scale. Like every university, every media, every textbook, whatever, it's all converging in one point that things happen by itself. There's no God, this and that, right? So there is so strong, so much money is going on in here, so much. You do not even have the right to speak a word against it. You will be canceled, you will be shut off. Wherever you are, become the best of the professors, get the Nobel Prize or whatever. Your word doesn't count. In such an environment, how does my creator destroy this treacherous plan? Shall I be, do I have the security of Abdul Muttalib here? My creator protects Kaaba. Am I having that comfort? Or I'm not comfortable with that? In my own world, because this is Rabbuka, which means I was concerned about elephants destroying Kaaba, and my creator tells me that, see how your creator destroyed their armies. Which means from here, I should get a message that today my creator with swarms of birds is destroying them. So that worry would not be there. Let me give an example. Actually, me and my wife was talking about such a case. She was saying that in a friend's gathering, so one of the people in the gathering started talking about religion and whatnot, and she said, well, if there's God and whatnot, why such things is happening? Why such a thing is happening? Another person in the same gathering said that, well, we shouldn't be talking too much about these topics because if we think about them, we are going to lose our faith. So these topics are not to be really discussed.
Yeah.
So what is happening in here? That person is worried about the elephants that are attacking Kaaba and doesn't have the security to defend, because if you look from outside, she's right. Everybody is attacking. Every strong, like all the strengths are attacking Tawheed. All the universities, all the people with fancy titles. And whomever is talking about religion is just a few losers here and there. So we better not discuss these topics, because if we start discussing them, in my own world, this is how I put a shield. So how I protect myself. Don't think about it. Don't discuss about it, right?
I would actually take it from the other side, because
Okay.
like in the ayahs, there's no mention of somebody is trying to destroy Kaaba or attacking anything, but it says if you are among the companions of elephant, then your Rab, not somebody else's Rab, but your Rab will send some birds and show you that whatever you are relying on is not that solid. So in this example, for instance, if person is afraid of talking such topics, it means she is relying on certain elephants. Like we are Muslim, we have such a culture, we have such traditions, and this is what protects us from the wickedness of the world. And then he or her Rab sends a tiny thing, which is a video stream from social media or a question. And then everything that she relies on destroyed.
That's also possible. That's also possible to take it this way. And but this giving me guidance, if I am worried that these elephants are going to destroy Tawheed, and then I read this surah, my creator is saying that, look, how I destroyed those with elephants. Today, again, my birds, swarms of birds are destroying the elephants. So the message is still there. And as we were discussing last week, if I'm to now bring it again, a simple seed, a plant coming out of seed, is challenging the idea of it happens by itself, nature does it, laws make it, as we have discussed before. How does this seed, this plant come out of seed? And actually, I'm going to bring this surah, this verse as an example for the next surah, Falaq, as well. But the creator is attracting our attention to the one who splits the seed and the one who splits the night and brings the day in. So these are the simple examples that the creator is bringing, and it's right in front of my eyes. And this is a tool for simple people. Like if you can take a seed in your house and just germinate it, or you just observe how day is coming or night is split and day is coming out of it. This is at your disposal to observe how, just asking the simple question of using Ibrahim Alayhi's methodology, how does this happen? What brings the day out of night? What brings that plant out of this seed? This is available to you, and you can use this as a question to destroy. And by just observing this, you can destroy all the elephants that's out there who is attacking faith, who is attacking Kaaba, oneness of the creator, or the idea of creator is one. La ilaha illallah is under attack, but you have, which are seemingly very simple arguments or simple tools. And Quran is using these simple tools actually about splitting of the seed to attack all those seemingly strong materialist worldview. So just look at how he did it back then, how he is doing it right now. Yes.
So going back to this كيف فعل ربك part, if you just take this فعل ربك out and read the story as narrated by the ayah, it would become like, didn't you see how it was destroyed, like how these, the companions of the elephants were treated, they were destroyed by these birds and so on and so forth. And you would just say, there's a conflict between elephants and birds, or companions of the elephants and the companion of the birds. It's like a worldly conflict, clashes of power. Like even today, if we see such a scene, right, the people is attacking with, let's say, all the war machines and so on, and some swarm of the birds coming and somehow destroying them. The next day we would see on the TV, and it's not TV, but the news, that these barbaric people, they trained these birds and they sent down, like it would be explained somehow, right? I mean, when you read it, like it's a kind of like a miracle, but at the same time, it's so causal still. Like the birds carrying baked clay. It's not like birds coming and sending some rays from their eyes and destroying the armies and so on. It's not out of this world. And we see this with almost every miracle as well, right? There's always a apparent causal, let's say, is net they are embedded. But anyway, the point is, I guess, these ayahs are telling me that because you see these extraordinary things in your life, right? But you usually explain them as a clash of different powers or worldly relationship between things. But the missing part in your understanding is that فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ part. Like whatever happening in front of you, it's so extraordinary. Like the people being survived, let's say, from earthquake. We just explain it. We say, they were lucky because they had such a building, or they were at the right moment, right place, and so on and so forth. But no, you should see it as a doing of your Rabb. I mean, with this backstory and with when we classify it as a miracle, we consider it as a miracle, but because we memorize it that way. But otherwise, if you read it, it will be really like just an ordinary event. I mean, kind of. We see similar stuff in our lives as well, really see. But we don't see them as my Rabb doing something there.
Yeah. This reminds me of my first graduate school application. So it was a no-brainer. So I submitted, and a friend of mine, which had much lesser credentials, got admission, but I didn't. So I sent them an angry email, the committee, and saying that, look, what's going on? And then they replied, they said, I don't have time to rebuke you, they said. But then they said, look at the CV that you submitted. So what happened was I scanned the CV, and the logo of the university was a triangle-like shape, and the scanner converted into letter A, like character recognition. And I didn't check the CV.
Wow.
So it goes through them a document which has this transcript, but the transcript has an A in there, which sounds like a cheaply made document, right? So it's a very cheap Photoshop, because rather than a logo, a letter A appears in there. She says, what sort of a transcript is that? So it looks like a cheaply made thing. And then I didn't even check what the scanned document was. So Alhamdulillah, it was good. I'm now happy that I didn't go there. But apart from that, it was such an insignificant thing, which I did with my own hands and didn't notice it. And I was thinking that it's a no-brainer. I'm just going there. And even somebody who I consider to be lower than me got accepted, but I didn't. So I mean, many things in life like that. But as I rely on elephants, my creator is.
And how did you explain this event at that moment? You said, "Oh, scanner, destroyed me."
Yeah. And it was a brainless scanner who is trying to become smart.
Something like a tiny bird with a clay destroying you, and you don't see it as the فعل ربك.
Yeah. So I think this birds with pebbles versus elephants then makes me question what I consider to be strong and with how my creator keeps doing this again and again in my life. And I guess if I go back and check my life for all the failures or all the defeats that I faced and see if it applies to this, I will find at least some of them to be really fitting under that category of how my creator keeps doing this. This is not once up in a lifetime event. And as we're kind of saying, that pay attention and see that rather than trying to find an excuse of, oh, they were careless committee that considered, or scanner was like this, half there, I didn't check and whatnot. How does my creator is creating and how does he handle me in my arrogance? And it is his creation that he utilizes such insignificant small things like pebbles or birds to defeat the strong elephants that I consider I have. فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ, and made them like straws eaten up. So I don't have much to say about this, like specifically about this. In general, I do see how all these strong things are being consumed, like the elephants and the army, but they are asfin me'kulin, straws eaten up, as if cows come and eat and only the hay is left behind a field. So it's this type of a destruction is happening in there. I don't know why specifically that imagery is used, if you have any comments about that. But in general, in the light of what we have discussed already, what I consider to be the strength, it itself is just being destroyed so quickly, so easily by what I consider to be a very weak cause in there.
Worthless, right? This scroll is the what is it? The least worthy part of the say
Grain.
a grain. So whatever you are relying on, you say this is worthless. You want to throw it away so that some animals will eat.
Mm-hmm. Sister,
yeah.
Sister Nuran, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I just need to like emphasize on what you're saying about when you do the same action with intentions, that you admire your power and your knowledge, and like Quran mentioned in Quran story, إنما أوتيته على علم. I have this because I have knowledge, so I deserve it. You will get, you can easily, for a very trivial, reason, get the opposite result of what you want.
That's right. Yes. In the story of Qarun, Sister Nuran was mentioning the story of Qarun, where Qarun was mentioning that this is given to me because of my knowledge. And Qarun is destroyed, and with his knowledge, he was swallowed by earth, like an earthquake. But the knowledge which is supposed to lift him up to finding the truth, the source of what is going on, becomes the ruin that's drowns him on the earth itself. The source of what's supposed to elevate him becomes the thing that destroys him.
Interesting that he doesn't say, I earned them with my knowledge, but they are given to me because of my language. So the character there is not an kafir or atheist, let's say. Someone like myself, knowing that everything is given to me as a blessing from my creator. So, quote unquote, a Muslim, saying that, yes, everything is given to me by my creator, but because I'm chosen one, because I deserve it. Like we are Muslims because, God chose us over other people and we are better than them.
Or in another way, I gained the success because I studied for 20 years. Like I am now tying my success to my knowledge.
You still say that like success given to me because I studied. Like when you say I became successful because I studied, it's not exactly the Karun story because the Karun is a believer. The success is given, but because of the man.
But still, there's a just reason for that. Yes, Dua, I saw your hand.
I have a comment and a question if we have time. So the mojiza thing made me think of like how when we think of like a mojiza, we think of something crazy. Like, oh, like the sun should shoot lasers at the army of elephants or the ground should catch fire. And it's almost like we think that when something is coming from God, it should be crazy, but people can reach there in a more organic way. So it's like, like as if civilization is our own idea, or an army or weapons are our own idea. And I feel like this imagery of God, like sending the swarm of birds, it represents an army, like a civilized army. And then the stones of baked clay represent like weapons, as if saying that, like these things, these tools that you're using, what you call civilization or weapons of war, all of this is coming from me. I am the source. And because I am the source and the originator of these things, you can never use this equipment against me. You will always fall short. The question I have is, we had this discussion on the whole like God will protect himself and protect Tawheed, but I'm wondering like, so if somebody's like saying something against religion, right? Sometimes we feel this need to defend Islam or defend God. And sometimes we get this feeling that, like we are the ones who should defend Allah, otherwise like it's going to be destroyed. Which is obviously wrong, but I'm wondering if we can perhaps consider ourselves as a bird. Like, I am part of Allah's creation, I am part of Allah's army, and He is giving me this feeling of wanting to defend the faith, wanting to defend His word. So it's almost like He's equipping me with this stone of baked clay. And with that mindset, can I perhaps argue with people, or like try to say, maybe you're wrong, look into this? So can I think of myself as a bird?
I think that makes sense. And the effect, like destroying this elephant who is trying to attack Tawheed, what will destroy that is not my eloquence or anything pertaining to me, but it is my creator, the guide, who destroys. And my creator gave me the feeling of, let's say, dislike of that attack. And he is inviting me to push back or counter attack this attack towards Tawheed. But when I am doing this, it's not like out of personal anger to the person, saying that how dare you say this to my religion or my something, but it's more because what I see by my is it's not an ego war in this case. It is that truth is being destroyed or aimed to be destroyed. And my creator says, this is something that I don't like, and I don't make you like it. And you would like to show a reaction towards that. So if I do this along these lines, yes, I would become that bird. And it would be my creator who will destroy it again. So he gave this pebble to me. I throw a pebble, but a pebble does not kill an elephant. But the creator kills the elephant or the army of the elephant. So if I know that, then I will not attribute anything to myself.
So I don't know how this God protects himself or his religion discussed before, but from Prophet we know that when people attacked him personally, he didn't care and respond back usually, let's say. But when they attack the religion of God, the understanding of Tawheed, he always responded back.
Yeah, so that response back is there, but is that response how they're like you attack my Turkishness?
Yeah.
Because we like people get super angry if you burn a Turkish flag, right? So because
It's not good.
my personal collective ego is being hurt in there, and I become defensive of it. So it's not about defending the truth or anything. So when it comes to defending the truth, so what is it? Do I say that, oh, it's truth because I found it? Because sometimes, just think about it, some meaning that you get from a verse, if you think about it, because I was questioning myself today about such a thing, a meaning that's after a discussion, I think we understood it together at best. I'm not saying I, but sometimes I say I, right? I understood something. Then Atik comes up with an alternative meaning to the same verse. But it's a meaning that somebody else found and introducing it to me. Does it excite me the same way, or do I consider it as a competition? If I consider it as a competition, then that means I didn't like the first meaning in the first place because it was beautiful. I liked it because I found it. So I think then conveying that truth to others, let's say, is it because truth is beautiful, or is it because I found that truth? So I think these are all flavors that I need to check for myself. And yes, inshallah, I should be on the path of distributing truth to people. To the messenger is nothing but to distribute the message, but it should be for realizing my neediness and how my creator is sustaining me, providing me. This should be a means for me to realize this, rather than me advertising myself or self-praising myself.
And maybe very quickly about the miracle part. So even with the miracles, at least from the the narrations of the Prophet, and the narrations in Quran, we see that they do not take away the option of the people, like the choice from the people. They happen in a way you still have the choice of believing that it is made by God, or it was a sort like a kind of a magic, or there's something that tricky and I don't believe it. Even with the miracles. So for instance, like a easy example we all know, when the Prophet wants to give water to the people, like he has a little bit water, and then he pours this water on his hand, and then from his hand more water comes out. As if still there's a mechanism there, as if. So it's not like, he says just make a sound and say that, okay, you are quenched and you are quenched and you are quenched. There's always a mechanism there that we can follow. And there's always choice.
To deny versus accept.
Yes. Otherwise, this ayah wouldn't start with, didn't you see how your creator did this? It would be like, it was obvious and you see it, you saw it, why did you forget kind of ayah, right? But it says, I mean, you saw what happened. Didn't you take it as your Rabb's doing? That means there is a possibility of not taking it this way.
Jazakallah khairan. So let's conclude here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.